Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to Livvy's Weeklies. I basically do an art tutorial and I also do my weekly setup for my bullet journal after the art tutorial. So today I'm starting off with a white camellia lily and I sketched it out with my pencil and I'm using my Faber-Castell brush pens to color it. So first I'm just using a really light yellow and light peach and I'm just coloring some details here and there, making sure not to use a really dark color because I'm drawing white lilies and I want to make sure that the white still pops out and it's not too yellowish or too dark. But I am using some darker colors to draw in the shading so that you can tell that it's like a white flower. And I'm going to color the background of this black so that there's better contrast between the white flowers and the black background. And then I'm using a sort of bright green to draw in the bottom of the flowers where it's closer to the stem, and I'm also coloring part of the leaf. And I'm always making sure to test the colors on the bottom of my page because if I use a color and it's too dark, it might ruin my painting and I can't really erase it once it's on there. So I make sure to test it out on the bottom, and then I'm going to use my really light gray to draw in some more shading so you can tell the shape of the flower. And I don't really have any measurements for this painting. I just sort of made a border around the flowers where I thought it would look good. So later when I put it in the frame, it sort of looks weird in the frame because it doesn't have a specific measurement, but that's okay. Anyways, I am using my light gray again to just color in some details here and there and the shading and underneath the petals where it's darker. And now I'm just mixing some greens and dark grays together because I want the leaf to have a dark green sort of color, like an evergreen sort of color. But since the Faber-Castell markers are pretty light and they don't come with a dark green, I had to mix the light green with the dark gray to make that sort of color. But Faber-Castells, even though they have really light colors, they're really good for blending with, and in the end I came up with a really good color. As you can see, I'm just coloring in with my dark gray marker, and then it's becoming this darker gray, or darker green, as I said I wanted. And later, to add more highlights, I'm going in with my white Uniposca paint pens, and then I'm using this technique I sort of made up where I draw with the Uniposca paint pen, but then right after that I smear it so it's not too white and it sort of gives a highlight, but it's not super clear that it's like white. As you can see, I still want it to be a darker green for the leaf, so I'm just going in with my dark gray and just mixing it in. As you can see, it mixes really well, and I'm making sure that the stem is a lighter green than the sides and the leaf itself. And then the edges are a bit darker too. And I want the color on the leaf to be able to show the veins in the leaf, so I'm not going to blend it all super smoothly because I still want those veins to pop out. And now I'm just going in with my light gray to draw in some more details. And I'm using the same color for the stems as I did for the leaf, except it's a little lighter, and I didn't mix as much of the dark gray into the leaf. As you can see, I'm doing 4 flowers, one main one in the center, and then 2 flowers below it, and then there's sort of one that's still in a bulb kind of, it's just not that big, on top of the main flower. And then I'm using this orangish yellow for the inside of the flower. I think it's like the stamen. Anyways, I am doing a darker orange on the bottom left, and you can probably see I did that in the stem too for the main flower. The left side is darker than the right side. I'm just organizing my pen really quick, and then I am just using the same light gray as I did before. Now I'm using I'm just going in between all my different colors, making sure the details look good. And to know if you've colored enough of the flower, you just need to erase your pencil marks, and if you can sort of see the shape of the flower, then you know you've drawn enough. And then at the bottom, I tested out my black Faber-Castell brush pen and then my Copic Multiliner medium size brush on the bottom, and the Copic one is way darker, so I'm using that for the background because I want more contrast. And when the Faber-Castell marker dries, it sort of dries like a gray, a dark gray, but I want sort of pure black, so I'm using the Copic Multiliner. And first I'm just outlining the flower so that when I color it, I won't color onto the flower, which I sometimes do a lot. So I'm being extra careful this time. And now I'm just going to speed up the video because I'm just coloring background for the rest of the time. And then now I'm just using my Faber-Castell brush pen to just add some more last details in, because once I add the background, I can see where I need to add more shading and stuff like that. So now I'm using my Uni Poscas, and I'm going to use the medium size, and here and there I'm just going to draw in some lines because some places I used too much of the marker, so I'm just whiting that out. And to give it a more veiny look, because flowers do have some veins in them, so I'm just using that to add some more details. And then I'm adding some more details in the leaf. As I said previously, I just draw with my Uni Posca and then I kind of smeared out with my fingers. And then I'm doing that in the middle too, and then on the sides, because as I said, I wanted to show some of the veins in the leaves, so I'm going to use a Uni Posca to give more contrast to a few of the veins. And I'm just coloring in here and there, just giving it my finishing touches. And then I'm just coloring some of the white veins that I used with my Uni Posca, because I think some of the veins were too white, so I'm just coloring over it with a Faber-Castell pen. And if you color over a Uni Posca, in my experience, the color is usually lighter than on paper, so it still shows the veins, but not as clearly. And now I'm just gonna cut it out using my paper cutter. And then since some of the areas there's some white, I'm just going in and coloring some of the edges, and there you go. So I'm gonna put that in my frame I got from IKEA. I'm just gonna open that up really quick. And then I'm going to put it in, but since there's some holes on the side, I put some craft paper in later to block it because there's some holes here and there. But anyways, there is the finished painting. I hope you guys like this, and now it's time for my weekly setup. So I'm doing my weekly setup, and I'm going to be covering the outer rims with craft paper. As you can see, I was experimenting with some gold watercolor, but I decided I didn't really like it, so I'm going to cover it up with my craft paper. And then I'm just going to cut around the corners where they're supposed to be rounder. And then I'm going to get my stamps I got from Michael's, and I'm just going to stamp March and to do on the other side. Stamp my calendar, and then I'm going to do the type of spread where you have the tasks on the right hand side and then you put the symbols on the left hand side, and then on the left paper, or on the paper on the left, I'm doing hours of school, so you just color in each box according to how many hours of a certain subject you did. And then I have my notes section on the right side at the bottom. And then for my doodle theme, I'm doing the monstera leaves using my Uni Posca on the craft paper. And then I thought that since they were sort of cut and the leaves weren't fully leaves, it looked kind of weird, and then you couldn't see which leaf was which, so I'm using a not so good quality white gel pen so that the white ink isn't too bold and it's sort of just like a translucent white, but then you can tell where the leaves are. And then that pen ran out of ink, so I'm using a different brand now. This one also sort of ran out of ink, which is good because then it's not too bold, and I don't want the contrast to be on the leaves that are colored in, but I'm just skipping here and there for which leaves I'm coloring in. And I'm just doing some crisscross patterns in the leaves. And now that I did that, I think you can tell where the leaves are now. And then for my accent color, I'm using a green I got from the pastel set in the Tombow dual brush pen set. I'm just highlighting everything here and there. And I decided to box the notes section. And then now I'm just doing a little plant doodle of a monstera leaf, or mantra leaves in a pot. And I did something like this on a separate spread where I did a mini quote. And then I'm just using my accent color to color it in. And there you go, there's my weekly setup for the week of March 8th. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe and give it a like. Watch my other videos and follow me on Instagram at livvy.dolphin and visit my Etsy shop at livvydolphinart. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye!